There are moments in baseball that don't feel real, moments so precise, so perfect, that even the stadium forgets how to breathe. And tonight, we're diving into 4 such moments, 4 pitchers, 4 innings, and just 9 pitches each. The story doesn't begin with a cheer. It begins with silence. A silence so sharp it feels like the entire world paused, waiting for something impossible to unfold. Because an immaculate inning is not luck. It is not routine. It is a storm of precision, a masterpiece squeezed into 9 violent, whistling pitches. Our first pitcher, let's call him Pitcher A, walked onto the mound with the kind of calm that almost looked arrogant. But inside was a fire ripping through his focus, a hunger that had been building for years. The crowd didn't know it yet, but they were seconds away from witnessing perfection. The first pitch tore through the zone like a comet, freezing the batter with a stare of disbelief. Strike 1. Just like that, the night shifted. Something electric. Something dangerous. The second pitch came faster, harder, sharper, a blade cutting through the air. Strike 2. The batter stepped out of the box, exhaled, blinked twice. He knew he was in trouble. The third pitch. A disappearing act. The kind of pitch that breaks both the laws of physics and the opponent's hope. Strike 3. 1 down. 3 pitches. A masterpiece in its opening chapter. But Pitcher A didn't smile. Didn't flinch. Didn't even slow his breathing. Because in his mind, he wasn't done sculpting this inning into history. Batter number 2 stepped in with a swagger, the kind only hitters with too many home runs carry. Pitcher A ended that swagger with a single pitch slicing the corner like a surgeon's cut. Strike 1. You could feel the crowd sensing the rhythm now, the drums of destiny pounding beneath the stadium lights. Pitcher A raised his glove. The second pitch snapped downward like gravity suddenly doubled. Strike 2. And then, the third pitch came with the cruelty of a winter wind. A swing. A miss. A helpless stare back toward the dugout. Strike 3. 6 pitches. 2 strikeouts. No mercy. But every story with perfection also carries doubt. Every immaculate inning hides fear behind confidence. For Pitcher A, that fear arrived with batter number 3, the rival he had never defeated. The first pitch. An explosion. Strike 1. The batter's eyes widened. He wasn't expecting this version of the pitcher. No one was. The second pitch. A wicket breaker that dropped off the table like it fell through a trapdoor. Strike 2. And now, the stadium leaned forward. Phone cameras rose. People held their breath with trembling hands. The third pitch felt like it slowed down midair, like the moment wanted to make itself last forever. A swing. A whisper of air. Strike 3. 9 pitches. 9 strikes. 3 strikeouts. An immaculate inning born from a pitcher who refused to blink. But the story doesn't end there, because now, we shift to Pitcher B, a man forged from pressure, a pitcher whose confidence looked like steel wrapped in fire. For Pitcher B, the inning began with anger, the kind of anger that comes from being doubted one too many times. Everyone said he was past his prime. Everyone said he didn't have it anymore. And then he threw a pitch so fast, so violent, it echoed like thunder. Strike 1. The second pitch obliterated the batter's balance. Strike 2. The crowd murmured. Something was brewing. The third pitch. Pure darkness. The batter swatted at shadows and struck nothing but air. Strike 3. Pitcher B didn't look to the dugout. He didn't celebrate. He stalked the mound like a hunter searching for his next kill. Pitch 2 of the second at bat came with a howl from the crowd. The hitters weren't just losing, they were unraveling. Strike 1. Pitch 3. A hammer. A judge's gavel. Strike 2. And the third pitch. Oh, that third pitch was humiliation. The batter's knees buckled like he'd been unplugged. Strike 3. Another victim. Another shattered confidence. 6 pitches. 6 strikes. And now the stadium roared, they could sense it, the impossible was within reach again. Pitcher B stared down the final batter like he was staring through him. First pitch. A screaming fastball kissing the top of the zone. Strike 1. Second pitch. A slider so cruel it should have come with a warning label. Strike 2. And then came the pitch he'd spent his whole life perfecting. A pitch that fell off the earth like it was yanked by invisible strings. Strike 3. Another immaculate. Another chapter in this unbelievable season. Now we move to Pitcher C, the calm storm. A pitcher whose greatest weapon wasn't speed, but silence. He worked quietly, like a shadow that only became terrifying when it moved. The first pitch he threw was poetry, a curveball that arced so beautifully the crowd gasped. Strike 1. The second pitch painted the corner so precisely it could have been framed in a museum. Strike 2. The third pitch. Not power. Not violence. Just genius. Strike 3. The inning continued with surgical precision, every pitch sharper than the last, every swing more desperate, more hopeless. 6 pitches, 6 strikes. And he hadn't even broken a sweat. The final batter stepped in, trying to disrupt the rhythm, stepping out, pacing, adjusting gloves, helmet, everything he could do to break the moment. But you can't break a moment that belongs to destiny. Pitch 1, strike. Pitch 2, strike. Pitch 3, the final brush stroke of a masterpiece. Strike 3. Another immaculate inning, quiet, deadly, unforgettable. Now the story shifts one last time. To pitcher D, the wild card, the rebel, the pitcher who never followed the rules. His inning didn't begin with elegance. It began with chaos, a fastball that nearly ripped the catcher's glove out of his hand. Strike 1. Pitch 2 was even harder, a pitch thrown with so much rage it felt like the seams themselves were screaming. Strike 2. Pitch 3 blew the batter away like he'd never swung a bat before. Strike 3. Fans jumped to their feet. Not because they expected perfection from him, but because perfection never expected to find him. The next hitter stepped in looking terrified, and for good reason. Pitch 1, strike. Pitch 2, strike. Pitch 3, the loudest swing and miss of the night. Strike 3. You could feel the stadium shaking now, every seat trembling under the weight of the moment. The final at-bat began with a pitch that felt like lightning breaking open the sky. Strike 1. Pitch 2 felt like the ground itself buckled beneath the batter. Strike 2. And then, with the entire stadium roaring. With a pitcher who had spent years fighting inconsistency, criticism, and doubt. He unleashed his final pitch. A pitch that wiped away every insult, every failure, every moment he thought he wasn't enough. Strike 3. 9 pitches. 9 strikes. 3 strikeouts. A perfect, immaculate inning from the unlikeliest hero. 4 pitchers. 4 innings of perfection. 4 moments carved into 2025 like lightning strikes in the dark. And if baseball teaches us anything, it's this. Perfection isn't an accident. It's a choice, made one pitch, one breath, one heartbeat at a time. And sometimes, just sometimes, 9 pitches are all you need to remind the world what greatness looks like.